What's going on, guys? Apathetic here, and today we're talking about the exotic Warlock gauntlets, the Getaway Artist. So I'll be covering what this exotic does, the different types of builds to get the most out of this exotic, and how it compares to some other top exotic choices for Warlock. Let's get into it. Diving right in, the Getaway Artist exotic perk is Dynamic Duo. Hold to convert your arc grenade into a supercharged arc soul. The arc soul functions as an autonomous turret. So for those out there that don't already know, consuming your grenade gives you a little blue floaty guy or an arc soul that helps you do damage in small bursts to your opponents. And at first I was really struggling with this exotic. I felt like it really wasn't doing anything, but then I adjusted my playstyle just a little bit and really began to see the benefits. I started playing back a little bit and using my ace at farther ranges and ensuring anytime I was going into battle, I would proactively be using my grenade charge to have my arc soul ready to go. Something I actually noticed and really surprised me is how much work this exotic does against players using one-eyed mask. There were times where I had a Titan pushing me with full overshield, shoddy out, and my arc soul just melted his overshield down and even portions of his shield and allowed me to take him out with ease. And speaking of shoddies, this thing actually helped me with my shotgun engagements, which was the last benefit I was actually expecting from this exotic. I found with my arc soul, with even just 1 to 2 bursts, would do enough damage that would allow me to one-shot my enemies from further range because my arc soul had already depleted a good chunk of their health. The last big benefit this exotic offers is just the distraction that this thing causes in your 1v1s. The enemy is constantly getting peppered by your arc soul, and it really adds an additional level of pressure on your enemies because they feel they aren't only fighting you but this stupid thing floating over your shoulder. Oh, and by the way, this thing is a sniper's worst nightmare. When I was close enough, this thing would flinch snipers like crazy. I'm sure that was driving them nuts. I could see my opponent's aim just fall apart as me and my little arc buddy just went to town on some of these teams. And seeing your arc soul finish off an opponent is one of the most humorous but satisfying feelings I've had in Destiny in a while. Moving on to builds you can do with this exotic, I mean, you could really have some fun here, guys. I think the most obvious one is placing ordnance mods on all your armor and pairing this exotic with Thorn and the Recluse. Combining the damage over time of Thorn with the peppering of the arc soul can really whittle your enemy's health down quickly, or in the scenario where you have the Recluse out, even if you don't have its pinnacle perk procced, the Recluse with the arc soul, it just does so much damage. It really makes a pretty broken gun even more broken. Now if you're like me and maybe you don't have a whole ton of ordnance mods but you are using a bunch of super mods, I would recommend Middle Tree Stormcaller, which is what I'm using in my gameplay with a single ordnance mod, again because of my lack of ordnance mods. Now the reason you would use Middle Tree Stormcaller is because of the ionic traces which you get from killing enemies, and those ionic traces recharge all your abilities, and we want this specifically for our grenade. Now the reason I actually prefer this over having a build with a ton of ordnance mods is because it creates a nice balance of getting my super often with having my grenade often as well. Now the only downside is you have to use Middle Tree, which in my opinion is not the best super for PvP, at least in comparison to Top Tree Stormcaller. Now another weapon I enjoyed using was the Suros Regime, again because the way the Suros Regime does damage and is an auto rifle, it pairs nicely with the arc soul and people would just melt in front of me. But honestly, I found the most success going to my old faithful using my traditional ace and shotgun loadout. I found with the ace I would occasionally get 2 hits in and then my arc soul would do the rest and finish people off. But let me know in the comments below, what weapons have you guys found the most success with when using it in tandem with your Getaway Artist. Now where does this exotic rank in comparison to things like Transversus Steps or Ophidian Aspects? Honestly, I consider those exotics your more sweaty loadout type of build. The Getaway Artist is great for going into quick play and you're just trying to spice up your gameplay a little bit and just be an annoyance to your team. The only real downside of this exotic is that it constantly requires a grenade charge. Not having a grenade in certain scenarios can be a disadvantage, especially with how strong Arc Web is now since it got buffed. So if I had one game I had to win, would this be exotic I would use? No. I would definitely use the other exotic I mentioned because they have always on perks that really don't have a cost to them like the Getaway Artist does. But ultimately, I found this exotic very fun and it was a great change up to my normal loadout. And once I really started playing around with the exotic, the benefits only became more noticeable. So if you haven't gotten your hands on the Getaway Artist yet, then may the RNG gods be with you. Thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Double down. Zone A captured. You have zone advantage. I can't believe what I'm seeing. 2 for 1. Zone B captured. Power play. Keep the pressure on. You're pulling ahead. Keep it that way. Zone A lost. What can stop you if you fight together? Nothing. Zone A captured. Power play. Keep the pressure on. Zone B lost. Zone C lost. 3 minutes left. You captured Zone B. You have zone advantage. Zone A lost. If you want it, this battle is yours. Take it! Zone B lost. Your enemy has a power play. Don't drop your guard. The enemy is persistent. The recruits have no... Look at you, at what one Guardian can do. With nothing but your ghost, your weapon, and your light. Stoke the fire, Guardian, or they'll take your lead. You shut the enemy down. Impressive. You could give the Red Jacks a lesson.
Perfect. Perfect.